Hello, class 8 students. How are you all? I hope all my students are absolutely fine. So, till our previous class, we studied the history section of your textbook. Now, from today, we are going to be studying from the chapters from the civics section given in your textbooks. So, we're going to start reading chapter number 14. All right. So, I want all of you to open your textbooks to chapter number 14. And this chapter, it is on page number 132. What is the name of the chapter? The name of the chapter is Legislature. And what are the key topics that we are going to learn in this chapter? We are going to talk about Lok Sabha. We're going to talk about Rajya Sabha, the composition, the qualification, and the educational requirements that are there for a person to be a member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And then we're going to talk about the presiding officer, that who heads these two houses of the parliament and the powers and functions of the two houses. So as all of you can see, the name of the chapter is Legislature. Now, when we studied the chapter on French Revolution, remember I told you about one of the philosophers, Montesquieu, who talked about separation of powers between the organs of the government. What was this separation about, or what were the three organs he was talking about? He was talking about three organs called legislature, executive, and judiciary. So, in the civics section of your textbook, we are going to be reading about these three organs of the government. Now, something that the French philosopher spoke about so many years back, centuries back, is something which still prevails in modern democracies. That is, there is separation of power between the three organs of government. And the power is divided in such a way that each organ can keep a check on the other. And on top of that, no organ of the government, whether it is legislature, executive, or judiciary, none of the three organs can command the other organ anytime it wants to. There's a proper procedure that is followed. There's a balance that is maintained between these three organs of the government named legislature, executive, and judiciary. So in today's class, we're going to be talking about legislature. Okay. All right. So it says a modern democratic government has three distinct organs named legislature, executive, and judiciary. The parliament belongs to the legislative wing of the government, and the Parliament of India comprises of the president, the prime minister, and the two houses of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It is where the elected members take decisions for the whole country. Laws are made through debates and discussions. So any law that comes across in the country, that law is only passed after there is proper discussion in the two houses of the parliament. So here you can see this diagram in your textbook, which beautifully explains the three organs of the government and their components. So legislature, council of states, that is Rajya Sabha, and house of people, that is Lok Sabha. All right. So let us start reading about Lok Sabha first, which is one of the houses of the parliament. So when we talk about Lok Sabha, so it is the house of the representatives of the people, or in other words, it's the house of the people, because it is in the Lok Sabha where the elected members sit, people to whom you have casted your vote. Of course, you cannot vote right now. You're only 13 or 14 years of age. So once you are 18 years and above, the person you vote to, the leader that you vote for, is someone who sits in, who's to be a part of the Lok Sabha. These people, they are directly involved in the, because the people, of course, the general public, are directly involved in the election of representatives. Now, what is the composition? How many members are there and who all are allowed to be the members of Lok Sabha? Maximum Anglo-Indian members are nominated by the president if the president feels that the community, the Anglo-Indian members are nominated by the president if the president feels that the community is not adequately represented. Seats are reserved for the backward classes also, and at present there are 545 members of parliament of the Lok Sabha. What is the duration? It is dissolved after every 5 years, because we all know that in India, after every 5 years, elections are conducted. How are the people elected? I told you that the members of Lok Sabha are directly elected by the people or the citizen of India through universal adult franchise. That is, any citizen of India who's 18 years and above, irrespective of his caste, creed, educational qualification, religion, region, none of this is considered. Any person who's the citizen of India above 18 years of age is allowed to. So they elect the candidate of their choice as the representative. Now, who's the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha? It is the members of the speaker who's the presiding officer. The members of the Lok Sabha amongst themselves select a member as the speaker and another member as the deputy speaker. However, it is very important that this person who's chosen as the speaker is not biased towards any political party. All right. And how is he elected? By a simple majority of the members present. The speaker holds his or her office until he or she resigns from office or till a new speaker is elected. The strength of the Lok Sabha is 552. Out of this, 524 members represents the state and not more than 26 represent the union territories. You know how many union territories India has? 5. Okay, now what is the qualification of the members of the two houses? So we are going to, in this particular slide, we're going to only talk about Lok Sabha. So first is he or she should be the citizen of India. Second, he or she should not be less than 25 years of age. He or she should not hold any salaried government job. He cannot be in a government job. He should not have acquired citizenship of any other country. Of course, he should be mentally sound. He should not be bankrupt. So there's a particular bank statement also that one needs to produce. And there should not be any criminal procedures against this person who wants to be the member of Lok Sabha. Now we talk about Rajya Sabha, which represents the Council of States. What is the maximum strength? Is 250 members. Out of this, 238 members are elected by the states and the union territories, and 12 members are nominated by the president from different fields. Some people who have excelled in fields like arts, entertainment, sports, science. So the different fields that are there, people who have excelled in their field become the member of Rajya Sabha after the president nominates them, and only 12 such members can be elected. At present, there are 245 members. What is the term? The term for Rajya Sabha is 6 years, and it is a permanent house, as it cannot be dissolved by the president. And after every 2 years, 1/3 of the members of the Rajya Sabha, they retire. How are the elections held? They are indirectly elected by the elected members of State Legislative Assembly. And who is the presiding officer? So in the case of Lok Sabha, it is the speaker. In the case of Rajya Sabha, the presiding officer is the Vice President of India, who is also called as the ex-official chairman, meaning by virtue of the post already he's enjoying the second post of the Rajya Sabha and presides over the meeting of the House. The members of the Rajya Sabha from among themselves, they elect the deputy chair. What are the qualifications? So let's move back to the slide. So first, of course, even he should be a citizen of India. What is the age? He should not be less than 30 years. So for Lok Sabha, not less than 25 years. For Rajya Sabha, not less than 30 years. Again, even he should not hold any government salary job, not acquire the citizenship, should be mentally sound, should not be bankrupt, and there should be no criminal procedures, right? So in your textbook also, you will find this list of, what is the qualification like. So this is for Lok Sabha. Citizen of India, 25 years, and the other that I've told you. And for Rajya Sabha also, the same, more or less the same qualifications. The only difference is the age factor. All right. And I told you the presiding officer in Rajya Sabha is the Vice President of India. All right. Moving on. Now, when we talk about the two houses, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, there is a relation also that these two houses share. What are these? First is that either of the house can introduce the ordinary bill. Both the houses take part in the election of the president and the vice president of India, and both the houses must approve the impeachment motion for the removal of the president of India. So it's not like that the Lok Sabha passes the impeachment motion and the president can be removed. Both the houses have to pass the impeachment motion. What is exactly impeachment? It is the process by which the president can be removed. And both the houses must approve the proposal or the impeachment of the judges also of the Supreme Court and High Courts of India. And approval of both the houses is essential for the amendment of the Constitution of India. This is very, very important. So if there is an impeachment process to go on, both the houses are required. And if the Constitution has to be amended, some changes have to be brought in the Constitution of India, it is important that both the houses participate. Now we're going to talk about situations where Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha has an upper hand. Okay, so coming back to our text. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I want all of you to come on to page number 135. Now let's come, 135. Now, in the following fields, Lok Sabha has certain advantages. First, the money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. In a joint meeting of the houses of the parliament, the decision of the Lok Sabha always prevails. Why? Because it has more members than the Rajya Sabha. Then the no confidence motion, adjournment motion, cut motion, etc. These can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. So three main areas. First, money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. Second, if there is a dispute regarding the decision of Lok Sabha will prevail. And third, that motions like no confidence motion, adjournment motion, cut motion, etc. These can only be passed in Lok Sabha. Now, what about Rajya Sabha? What are situations does Rajya Sabha has an upper hand? It checks hasty legislation, probably a rule or a law which it feels has been passed abruptly. It is a permanent house, so it continues to function even when the Lok Sabha dissolves. When does Lok Sabha dissolve? After every 5 years, because fresh elections are held. It reflects the expert opinions of its talented nominated members, and it can create new all India services. It can also request the parliament to make law on any subject of the state list. All right. Now we talk about the powers of the legislature. So what are the legislative powers? The parliament normally makes laws on the subjects of the union list, that is the center list, and the concurrent list, that is subjects which are neither as such in state list or in the central list. They're a mixed bag. Concurrent list items, both the parliament and the state legislature can make laws, but if the union law clashes with the law made by the state legislature, then who has an upper hand? Then the union law has the upper hand. Ordinance issued by the president in the absence of the session of the parliament has to be approved by the parliament within 6 weeks of the dates of the reassembly of the parliament. Otherwise, it stands cancelled. The parliament can make laws on the state list also during an emergency. And parliament can make laws on the subject of the state list if the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution and requests the parliament to do so. And it can also make laws on the subjects not mentioned in any of the three lists, whether it's the state list, union list, or the concurrent list. Basically, the subjects that are called as residuary subjects, topics which came much later, like information, communication, and technology came much later. So it can make laws on these subjects as well. Then it also has control over executive. How? By asking questions to the ministers during the question hour in order to gather information about new laws or the pertaining laws. And of course, in the topics related to public interest. Ministers are jointly responsible for their work performance to the Lok Sabha. If the opposition passes a vote of no confidence, then the entire ministry has to resign then and there. By voting a cut in the budget, by moving an adjournment motion where a member of parliament might want to draw the attention to a matter of urgent public importance. Then, of course, control over national powers, that is the financial decisions also are the powers. Electoral powers, of course, the parliament elects the president and the vice president of India. And the judicial powers are that the parliament can impeach the president of India, that is, he or she can be removed if he acts against the Constitution of India. And then the parliament can impeach also the judges of Supreme Court and High Court. Power of amendment, of course, if any changes are required in the Constitution. And the legislature plays a very important role in a democracy. India being the world's largest democracy, the legislature acts as the representative of the people. So, to sum it up, what are the points that you need to know? First, legislature is the first organ of the government, and in all the modern democracy, legislature, executive, and judiciary, these three organs shall prevail. All right, this is one. Second, in India, how legislature functions, there are two houses of the parliament. One is Lok Sabha, one is Rajya Sabha. Now, each house has its own set of composition, qualification, presiding officer, and term. For Lok Sabha, 545 members, it's there for 5 years. The elected representative, people to whom we have casted our vote, they sit there, and the duration is 5 years. Who is the presiding officer? The speaker. Who all can become a member of Lok Sabha? Of course, to whom we have casted our vote, but most importantly, citizen of India should be mentally sound, should not be bankrupt, should not hold any salaried office, and the age factor, he should not be less than 25 years of age. Rajya Sabha, the composition is there. Then the vice president is the presiding officer. The duration is 6 years, and 1/3 of its member retire after a particular time period. Okay, and of course, in both, if there is a dispute regarding a law, whose decision will be has an upper hand? It's the Lok Sabha, of course, because it has more members. Now, both the houses have a joint role to play in the law-making process. But in certain situations, Lok Sabha has an upper hand. In certain situations, Rajya Sabha has an upper hand. Of course, which you need to understand and learn. But together, this legislature has certain sets of powers. It has legislature powers related to lawmaking. It has executive powers. It has judicial powers. It has economic powers. But as I said, both the houses are equally responsible for the development of the country in terms of passing laws which are in favor of the general public. All right. So this is all about the first organ of the government, which is legislature. In the coming classes, we're going to talk about the other two organs of the government, that is executive and then the judiciary. All right. I'll meet you all in the next class. Bye bye, my dear students.